Hello my loves, Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to spring, welcome to April. Honestly, now that we're in the second quarter of the year, I can feel my seasonal depression just like lifting right off of my body. I come into my studio and I'm feeling inspired, I'm feeling creative, I'm feeling a way that I haven't felt honestly since Christmas time, and it is just so nice to feel a lot more like myself again. Now, if you're not quite there yet, don't worry, just take some of my energy, absorb it right through the screen. Don't worry, I've got plenty to spare. In the spirit of renewed energy, I have decided that today is a day I get organized. I woke up at 6:30 this morning and cleaned my kitchen, and I was like, oh my gosh, what else can I clean? And you know what I decided on? I decided I'm going to clean up my whip closet. Yes, my whips, my works in progress are starting to take over. Now I'm in this spirit of creativity and I want to start all these new things, but I can't help but think about all the things that I started when I was feeling like this last time. I've got lots of crochet whips and I thought I'd be more likely to finish them if I share them with you, and then you can be my accountability partner. Now, if you're down for all of that, make sure you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. And before I dig all of my whips out of their secret hiding spots, we have to give some love to our Cup of Caffeine sponsor. The Tim Hortons around the corner from my house opened back up, so it was an extra large double kind of day. Today's Cup of Caffeine sponsor is Tammy, and when donating, Tammy said, before I found you, I dabbled in crochet. Because of you, I now spend most of my free time crocheting. I enjoy your tutorials, your patterns, and appreciate your efforts to promote women and your craft. My yarn stash has taken over my closet. Brava. Brava indeed, Tammy. The only thing that should be taken over your closet is your stash, okay? Thank you so much for the donation, and if you watching like my videos and want to support my channel, buy me a coffee. Who knows, I might shout out in the next one. Now, let's talk whips. Oh, I missed that. Oh God. Yep, that's what I needed. Sure is. So that is actually way more projects than I thought it was. So tuck in, we're gonna be here for a while. I'm gonna start with this one down here at my feet. First off, one time for the basket, okay? I do love a good basket, and I'm pretty sure I got this one from Joanne. Glad I got it because I do a lot of blanket whips, and this one is actually one of my favorites. This one is a scrappy linen stitch rectangle blanket that I started with my Happy Place leftovers. So you may recall that I released a yarn called Happy Place last year in the fall. Absolutely beautiful yarn, still 1000% obsessed with it. And I ended up having a ton of yarn left over after I made the 8 designs that came out with this project when it released in August. Now, Mama is not gonna let any of her yarn babies go to waste, so I put them all in this basket and I've been grabbing them to make just a really scrappy blanket. I started in the middle here and I'm working 2 rounds each of 2 different colors, alternating them throughout. And what I decided is that I would only allow 4 rounds of each color just to keep that kind of scrappy look to it. So I've just been grabbing colors at random and I'm so pleased with how it's turning out. Obviously, the rounds that have red stand out the most. It's just a really high contrast color within this palette, but it does all end up working together in this really beautiful way. Now, when it comes to finishing, frogging, or icing this project, this is just kind of a long-term whip that's sitting in the background. I like to put a couple rounds on this when I'm in between projects, or if I just don't have any inspiration to work on anything else that I've got going. When I first started it, it was a primary project, but now it's just kind of an in the background project. So I'll just say that I'll ice this one for now, but it'll be hanging out in the background, always ready for a few stitches whenever I feel like it. As much as I love a blanket, there are some blanket whips that I could live without, and this is one of them. You may remember that I did a video in partnership with Wool in the Gang some time ago. They sent me multiple skeins of their Wool in the Gang Big Love Cotton, which is a 100% organic cotton. I think this is either a worsted or a bulky weight yarn. I'm thinking bulky. I did start a blanket that I was actually really in love with at the time. It's a granny rectangle. rectangle. And look how cute it is. Like the colors really sucked me in, but the more I've worked on it, the more I've realized how impractical this yarn is for such a big project. Even when I was originally working on this, I had a couple skeins that came in the bag that were already a little bit dirty, and I couldn't sort out how to get them clean while still maintaining the color. The color in cotton tends to fade over time anyway, so I didn't want to bother trying to wash it. The idea was to use this as like a picnic blanket or an outdoor blanket because it's a nice heavy cotton. But if that was the case, I wouldn't have put colors like this cream, this light pink, or this white in here. While I was a fan of this project when I was working on it, I don't think it's something I'm going to finish because I just don't have the passion for it. If I was going to make a big chunky outdoor blanket, I'd probably use a yarn like Bernat Maker, something that is made out of like a polyester or some kind of artificial fiber that's going to be way easier to clean. This cotton, unfortunately, is just not going to do it for me. And it's kind of a bummer because I have so much of it left. There's a ton. Really pretty colors, not a bad yarn, just not the right project for it, I think. Instead, I could have made a top or some kind of cute accessory. And with all this yarn I have left, I theoretically could do that, but am I? Am I? I don't think so. So when it comes to frog finish or ice, this one isn't going to fall in any of those categories. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to destash this yarn. And I'm not even going to frog it first. I'm going to destash it just like this and let the next person be inspired by what is truly a pretty nice yarn. Good idea, not the greatest execution. Sorry. Bye-bye. Let's see what else we have. Feels a little bit like Christmas morning. I don't even remember what's in some of these. Oh, I remember this. Okay. This is a WIP that I started randomly when I was living out of a hotel for a week last year. I brought this yarn with me because I was preparing for a trip to go to St. Lucia with my girlfriends for one of my friend's bachelorette's party. And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna make this really cute wrap cover up. It's gonna be so adorable. And I'm gonna be on the beach in something that I handmade. I can't wait. So I was using Hobie's Limonada yarn, which is 100% recycled fibers, half recycled cotton, half recycled polyester. It's actually a quite nice yarn. It feels really good, and I'm sure it would wash beautifully. So I was using this black color, I had this yellow, I have this stone color, and I have white. I thought this was going to be absolutely perfect for the beach. What I had so far is this mess of strings because I wanted to make it all in one piece to make sure it went really fast. And looking at it now, I see where I was going with this, and I kind of wish I would have finished it. It would have ended up so cute. So here was my vision, right? I continue to work this piece up until the length that I want it to be, and then I was going to split between the stone and the white for the neck hole, keep that open until it goes over my head, and then join everything back up in the back just to make a simple poncho swim cover up type situation. I just didn't end up finishing. I'm sure I ended up working on some other projects. I had some other deadlines I needed to get to. I'm really annoyed with myself that I didn't finish this because it probably would have gone quite quickly. It's kind of the perfect time to be working on this. It's April now, and I could easily finish this by the summertime. I could be sitting on the beach with my Corona Light wearing this, feeling fancy free. So you know what? I think I will put this one back away. I'll put it on ice for now. I do have some other really exciting WIPs coming up, but I think this is something that I can finish and wear over the summer holiday. I have this really cute black bathing suit with like these ruffly sleeves on it. My gosh, this would be so stinking cute. On to the next one. We're going to talk about this baby right here, and this is my 2024 temperature blanket. So I do a temperature blanket every single year. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. Like, why would you want to commit to a project like this? Why do you want to document the weather? That's so depressing. Look, I just like the idea of having a year-long crochet project. I like starting something at the beginning of the year, finishing it at the end of the year, and knowing that I put in the time and the effort to make something really beautiful. And I know that that's what's going to happen here. First and foremost, let's talk palette, and we are working with Happy Place. I've got 12 different colors, and I'm gonna be honest, when I first put these together, I was like, Tony, this is a little wacky. Like, are you 1,000% sure about this? And I can't say I was 1,000% sure then, but I definitely am now that I'm working these colors up. I'll show you my squares that I have so far. I'm like really happy with them. Okay, so this is my January square. Don't mind the ends, okay? We'll deal with that later. That's future Tony's problem. Thought it turned out really cute and was really reminiscent of what January was. It was cold, it was dreary, and just not a really fun time to be in. But as far as the square goes, absolutely gorgeous. Here is February, and we did have a leap year, so this has 29 rounds on it. I was really nervous at about this point in this square because I was like, oof, you are doing a lot of really crazy things right now. But as I continued adding rounds on it and just kind of let the randomness happen, I thought it really did come together. These are not colors I would typically put in one piece. They just work somehow. I can't even explain to you why, but it works with the vibe of the project that I'm going with. And it was nice to just kind of let go and let the colors do whatever they wanted to do. So that's February. And then came March, and this palette was like, oh, if we haven't made you nervous enough, let's really get nutso. And that is exactly what happened here. My March square isn't completely done, but I am pretty proud that I got this far within the month of March. I haven't worked on it yet this month, but I do want to finish it up before I start my April square. This project uses my linen stitch squares pattern. So if you're interested in making a temperature blanket or just any blanket with that same pattern, you're more than welcome to it. It's a completely free pattern up on my blog. I'll link it down below. My temperature blanket has become a bit of an institution now. This is actually my 6th year making one. And what's funny is that after I started this, which is of course based off an old temperature blanket design, I had a new temperature blanket design pop into my head. We'll see if I actually end up making that one. I love how I'm talking about WIPs and then already planning like future projects. How does my brain work? I'm still not sure. Next project we're gonna go with is right here, and one time for this gorgeous bag. So I'm not typically a purple person, but this past year has completely changed my mind on this color. This bag is from Paisley and Gold. My friend Erica used to run this really amazing project bag company. She has since closed down her business, but I'm so grateful that I have a collection of her bags because they are gorgeous. And it's nice and big too, and thankfully it is because I got a really big WIP in here. Quick story time, over the pandemic, I got completely obsessed with mini skeins, so I started buying them like they were going out of style. Lucky for me, they never went out of style, but not lucky for my stash, I now have a ton of mini skeins and nothing to do with them. So I decided to take a giant handful of them. I didn't put them in any order. I didn't have any process to them. I took just a big giant handful of mini skeins and I started making granny squares. So now I have a basket full of granny squares. I couldn't tell you how many exactly. I was able to get 2 8-round granny squares out of each. I'm pretty sure I use a 4mm hook. Let me see if I've got a hook in here. Oh shoot, I got a lot. Oh, I forgot. I bought some crochet hooks from Oh Fire Co. and I never used them. Oh, here's one. Ooh, where's the other one? It's right here. Oh, I got like a sparkly glitter one, and I got this pretty kind of orange with clear glittery. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. I gotta remember to use those one day. And this is why you clean out your WIPs, because you've got notions and hooks sitting around just languishing. So it looks like I got a 4mm hook in here, so that's good to know. So I'm making these with 4mm hooks. I couldn't even tell you how many squares I made, but I think at some point, probably when I was weaving in the ends on all of these, I decided that I had enough and I want to make a big granny square blanket. And what's wild is I am now so close to having that blanket, but I have not sat down and turned all of these squares into a blanket yet. I know exactly how I'm gonna do it. I wanna do that continuous join as you go method where you could just grab a square, add it, grab the next square, add it, and you're just kind of building the blanket from the bottom up. But I just have to sit down and do it. And it's kind of a shame that I've just got all of these granny squares sitting here. Dang, and I also have the yarn to join them sitting here in the bag. I'm so prepared, but I gotta execute. Wow, I think of all my WIPs, this is probably the one that's closest to being done. So I don't know, y'all might see this one a little sooner than later. Now that I'm on this whole accountability kick and I want to invite you in as I finish some of these older projects, I don't know, maybe we'll get together, do like a little Q&A, and I'll finally make the granny square blanket of my dreams. Gosh, it's a lot of them too. They're so pretty. Tony, what the heck is your problem? Do you ever like annoy yourself with like the decisions that you make? Finish Frogger Ice. This one is absolutely getting finished, and I think sooner than later because I really want to see what this looks like when it's done. I think you might be seeing this one very, very soon. Ooh, let's go to this one next. So this is one of the WIPs that I'm a little bit ashamed of because I shouldn't have bought this yarn in the first place. And then I told myself, oh, power through, finish the WIP, then you're not going to feel so bad. Well, I didn't finish the WIP and now I feel bad about it. The yarn that I'm using for this one is Lion Brand Respect. It's got recycled polyester as well as acrylic and cotton. It's like a chainette yarn. It's actually quite pretty, but something about the texture of it just did not appeal to me when I was actually stitching it. So I had a few different ideas for this one and neither one of them ended up working out. First, I tried a granny square because that's like my default for every new yarn that I get. If I can't make a granny square out of it, I'm probably not gonna like the yarn. And unfortunately, the grannies did not work for this one and I didn't like the yarn. This yarn has like a density to it that just is not soft enough. It doesn't have the drape that I like to see, and it's an issue that I found with a lot of 100% polyester yarns or polyester mixed with acrylic. It's just a texture that doesn't appeal to me. And when I'm stitching with it, if I'm not having like pure joy, I'm gonna put that away because I know that there's another fiber that will give me pure joy. So the granny squares didn't work out, and I was like, you know what? Hope is not lost. Let's just play around with another idea. If granny squares aren't gonna work out, maybe we can try Tunisian crochet. Well, this is how far I got with the Tunisian crochet project. I was gonna try and do an arrowhead stitch blanket, but again, that lack of drape and that lack of flexibility meant that these loops just really stacked up on my cord, and it was hard to manipulate them up and down the hook. Just not fun, not easy to work with, not an enjoyable experience, and I probably would have liked this when it was all done. I was like, am I really gonna push through and finish it? No, I'm not. I'm just gonna go work on something else. 15, 16, 17, 18. There are 18 skeins of this yarn in here. Maybe this is something that screams to be knitted instead. I don't know, but it just was not a good fit for me. Finished frog or ice. This one is actually gonna get destashed. I'm not even gonna bother unfurling the yarn. I'm just gonna leave it right here in this bag. So it's gonna leave my stash, but I hope it's well loved by somebody else. Next up is a whip that I am really excited about. This is my knitted sweater. One time for the bag. So this is one of the TLYC snap bags, and I've talked about it before. These are some of my favorite project bags. The snaps on these, they just go, it's beautiful. Here, listen, 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 listen. Do you hear that? Like, it's just the cutest little click, click, click. It's so satisfying under your fingers, I swear. It's a soothing thing for me. You'll get it when you get one. So inside here, I have my knitted sweater. I started this last year. Me and my best friend were doing this as a buddy knit. And this is the Two of Wands Autumn League pullover. I'm making mine in Happy Place in the color, I think this is 35 solid. No, this is 35 melange. So this is maple syrup. It's this nice rusty brick red color. You know, it's funny though. Somebody saw me working on this and they commented that it looked like hamburger meat. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna own that. So this is henceforth called my meatball sweater. So me and my meatball sweater have made a lot of progress together. I have split for the sleeves, which I was terrified to do. This thing sat at the foot of my bed for months because I did not want to look up how to split for the sleeves. I ended up having a Sunday free. I grabbed a glass of wine, a little bit of liquid courage, you know, popped on some YouTube tutorials, and I made it happen. And now I've got 3-4 inches so far after I split for the sleeve, and I think I have to get to 11 inches before I do the bottom ribbing. Then I can go back and do the sleeves. I did end up doing the neckline ahead of time because I just wanted to try it on. Y'all know how I get about necklines, and this one is perfect. It fits so well. It's so cute. Now I do want to finish this soon, even though I probably won't wear it until the fall, but I just want to finish it to say that I did. I've decided that knitting is going to be like a very personal activity for me. When I share about this on Instagram, folks are like, oh my gosh, can we get knitting tutorials? And I'm like, no, you never will. Not for me. This is my hobby. Crochet is my job and also something that I love to do, but I've decided that knitting is going to be my hobby, and it's not going to be something that I want to become an expert at to then share it with other people. This is something I want to keep just for me, and we all deserve to do that. So I'll keep you posted on this one. If you follow me on Instagram at @TLYarncrafts, you'll definitely see this. So this is going into the finished pile for sure, and hopefully sooner than later. I at least want to finish it up to wear to the Flock Fiber Festival in August. I don't know if it's going to be cool enough to wear it then, but I'm gonna bring it anyway. Next is this cute little bag. I remember what's in here. Funny, we go from one knitting project to another one. This is a hat that I decided to try out as I was practicing knitting. I was at a local yarn store teaching, and we had some downtime over lunch. I'm at a local yarn store. I've been wanting to learn how to knit. They have all the stuff to knit, so let's do some knitting. I ended up picking it up, and I think I was doing a fairly good job. The ribbing is like, she's a little rough. If I'm being honest with you, it's not great, but this was my practice. Something is definitely twisted at the bottom of my ribbing, and about halfway up, you can see that I changed something, maybe the way I was holding the yarn. So like my ribbing goes from being slanted from right to left to being upright. I course corrected apparently. And then I got to the stockinette section and I was really enjoying myself. But I'm now at the point where I need to start shaping to close it up at the top. And then I just really lost interest. I was not interested anymore. This was a practice piece. I'm gonna let it be a practice piece, and I'm gonna go ahead and destash this. But yeah, that was kind of my practice knit piece. I don't need to finish it to feel like I've got a handle on knitting. I've now completely graduated to a sweater because that's what I wanted to make in the first place. So that's what I'm gonna do. So this one is gonna go bye-bye. Couple more whips to go. Ooh, big stretch for this one that I was honestly a little bit embarrassed to share with you. If you recall, I made a video with all the things that I made in 2022, and this was one of them. We are now in 2024, and this project is only a couple inches longer than it was when I showed you a couple years ago. Y'all remember this? Yep. This is my gumball sweater. Some time ago, Hobie sent me their friend's cotton yarn. This is a gorgeous fingering weight 100% cotton yarn in all of these really beautiful colors. They sent me one of each color, but I ended up pulling out the pinks, oranges, yellows, creams, and the grays. So I started this and it was coming along beautifully, but then I got tickets to the Beyonce concert and I ended up making the Mesh Me Up raglan by Just the Worsted out of this same color palette. Well, I was so obsessed with that sweater and it came out absolutely beautifully that when I came back to this, I was like, I kind of did that already. Once I made that top out of that same color palette, wore it, and had those beautiful memories in it, I just completely lost motivation to finish this. I was like, ooh, well, I could rip some back, do a little bit of cinching at the waist and turn this into a dress. Well, I could do that with other yarn that I have, and I could just start it fresh and have that really nice brand new whip feeling. So unfortunately, this one got put on the furthest back burner possible, and I don't think I'm going to return to it. If anything, I'll just wear that Mesh Me Up raglan again because it turned out so cute. Now, what am I going to do with this? Certainly not frog it because every round is done in a different color, so it's far too much to frog. Like several of those other projects, I will probably put this all in a bag and destash it together, let somebody else deal with it. It looks really, really pretty, but at this point, it's just a sea of double crochet stitches, and I'm not really motivated to get back to it. I'm just not. As pretty as it is and as nice as it would be for the upcoming summertime, this one is gonna get destashed. Last but not least, I have another scrappy blanket. I don't know what it is with me and blankets, but I have to have several going at a time apparently. And not only did I get obsessed with mini skeins over the pandemic, but I also got obsessed with using my stash, and I wanted to put good use to some of the gorgeous variegated fingering weight yarn that I'd been collecting for years. So I decided to grab a whole bunch and just start putting it into a blanket. I'm working 3 colors at a time. Oh my gosh. I'm working a 3 color change. So there are 3 colors attached at all times. But what you'll notice is that it has a bit of a fade going on. So we started down here with these pretty browns, some burgundies, we've got some teal going and some bright orange. And then we transition into a little bit more reds and golds here. Then I added in this powder blue for this nice kind of lighter moment, lighter cool moment in the middle. And then it started to transition into some deeper reds. And finally we got to some purples. I told y'all I'm starting to warm to purple, and like when I see it stitched up, I'm like, I get it now. I get it now. Now, the problem that I made though is I made this blanket a lot wider than I thought. And the larger it's gotten, the heavier it's gotten. And I know that the width has stretched a good bit. So to make it all balance out, I'm gonna have to make this blanket way longer than I was originally planning. But once again, I'm working with a 4mm hook and fingering weight yarn. So the rows are taking me at least like 5 to 7 minutes a piece. So I'm not even getting very far in an hour. So this has become a true like in-between type project. Similar to that rectangular linen stitch blanket, this is like a, I don't have anything going at the moment and I just want to keep my hands busy, so I'm going to work on this. It feels like the kind of project that I need to like rent an Airbnb out in the woods somewhere, grab some audiobooks, maybe a couple of friends and a few glasses of wine, and just like crank it out over a long weekend. I really want to finish this and it's going to be so pretty. It's kind of like that same idea of wanting to have a granny square blanket. I also want to have like this scrappy granny stitch blanket. So one day this will be finished and I can add it to my handmade blanket stash, but for now she is still a whip and she's got a ways to go. I'm gonna put her back on ice for now, but me and you, sister, one day, glass of wine in a cabin in the woods and we're gonna knock it out. And I'm back with a quick wardrobe change to show you the project that inspired this entire video. I started and finished this cardigan in just 3 weekends. I received these mini skeins as a gift from Sorella as part of her spring tonals collection. They were so gorgeous and the inspiration hit me like a ton of bricks. I started the project almost immediately, finished this first panel in the first weekend, finished the second panel in the second weekend, and then on the third weekend, I added the ribbing and these cute little buttons. I know that I can finish things quickly when I'm motivated, but let's just be honest, the middle of a project is not as satisfying as the beginning or the end. And that's how I ended up with so many whips, but I I'm gonna do what it takes to change that. Now that I decided what I'm gonna finish, frog, ice, or destash, all of these projects have a place to live. Some of them will go back into my closet and some of them will go in the big box of yarn that I need to get rid of. And now that I have you as an accountability partner, it's much more likely that I'm gonna finish these projects because I'm really excited to show them to you. I really hope you enjoyed this video and it's given you some inspiration to work on your WIPs as well. I'd love for you to drop down in the comments and let me know, what is your WIP situation like right now? Is it manageable or unmanageable? Are you a one WIP kind of person or do you have plenty just like me? I'm excited to read your comments and I'm grateful to have you as an accountability partner to get some of these finished. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.